Hello YouTube, just a quick one. It's actually a tutorial on how to install my menu, but I want to talk about what I've done with my new cloning software. So only recently I've been trying to push out a lot of updates to get it to scratch, just like 1.6.1 and 1.6.0, although they had their own kind of issues, which one of them would have been the op directory, because I used to use the op directory, which really isn't efficient. But so yeah, I basically updated my rsync commands today because I thought it would have worked, but it didn't. I was having kernel boot issues, and that was to do with the USR folder not being cloned. So if you go on my code now on GitHub, you'll see I've actually. This ain't open source yet. I don't know if I'm gonna. This is more a bit of fun. So we've got the different languages here. If you want to contribute, then why not? That's why it's open source now. I'm all here for, helping people if you want new features or whatever. I do say here, contribute if you want. I mean, there's not a lot of people that would know what to do with scripts like this unless they actually spent the 2.5 years or longer, if not, maybe a bit shorter studying it. But I'll do this real fast to just show that I basically just added some changes to the rsync command. So I added includes, because it was just trying to clone the full system, but it wasn't including the directory. So normally it'd make the folders, but it wouldn't copy what's in them. And these need to be created, and USR is what contains all the modules for the kernel. So if it don't boot, that's because the USR folder isn't cloned correctly, and that would be because you're not using the right rsync command, which is that one there. If you don't use that command, the USR folder will get corrupt during the cloning. I know this from many tests. Obviously, this isn't new to me. I'm just using old scripts. I knew obviously there was going to be some issues. I'm just having fun with it, really. So I was fixing bugs little by little. But anyway, so we go to 12 menu. My 12 menu. Quite late here. I need to be a little bit quiet. What I normally do is I install it from here. So we go on here and we go to edit mode. Come here. Also, the user did say that they're using Plasmoid Viewer, which is, from my understanding, very old. What I use now is QML Scene, which is for the Qt6 QML, which is what this is anyway. And that's what I used to test this at a time. But I'd go here normally, or you could download it from the Pling store on the internet, which is what I'm going to do in a minute. And I'll just type in 12 menu and just install it. Now, it does say that there's an update, which is quite funny, because really and truly the package is exactly the same, and as you can see, it just works. I'll do this quickly because that was one of the features that I did fix for Menu Ditto, and I was going to change that home icon. I think I was going to change the setting icon or something, because he had the settings icon over here or something on the left, and then I moved it there. And at one point I was going to move them icons at the bottom or something. I was going to do something. Well, I've added a command executor now. So if I do, say if I want to do a fast fetch, you can only input one command at the moment. But say if I type in fast fetch, it's going to open a console up and just use the command fast fetch as if you just open a console. So you can do a one-time command with this menu. So that's one of the many features. But if we go on to Pling, and then we go get the menu, I'll download it, and we can actually look at the files that the user's saying don't work. One of the issues that I had when I first built it is that these locations, the locations being used for the different buttons, were focusing on the wrong place, and I had to customize it in a way to use the code a certain way for it to register the .desktop files that I'm going to show in a minute. So let's download this. So what we do is we get a plasmoid, and what a plasmoid is actually a .zip file. That's all a plasmoid is It's just a .zip file renamed into a plasmoid. So I've just downloaded that. Where's the plasmoid? Here. And we're going to rename that now to a .zip. We could even extract it if we wanted. I normally change it to a .zip. I don't know why I do that, but you normally just zip up a folder and then change the zip into a plasmoid, because that's how plasmoids are built, from zips. But he was saying about a location, which would, if anything to do with the locations, it would be these files here that are being used in the is it menu representation? Yep, nail on the head. So them files there, I had to code it in a specific way for it to register files, otherwise it won't register it, and then you wouldn't be able to sign in, sign out, log out, sign in, sign out, reboot, shut down, all these menu functions you've got here. I think home worked and settings, but then you couldn't lock the screen and you couldn't use the power options. But yeah, this is the config file for them folders. I don't know why he's using Plasmoid Viewer, because I actually never heard of that, and when I done my intensive research to understand how to test these things, I was using QML Scene, which is for Qt6, which is what this is, because a lot of the old things that were used in the past are all based off of Qt5 packages that obviously won't work with this anymore, because the headers are all completely different. Which is why this is built for Qt6 and not Qt5. Anyway, that's the config file. These are the files when you download it after you unzip. If we go to local share plasmoid, is it plasmoid? This is where you put the folder. So you don't really need to be testing it. If you install it through here, it's going to automatically install it to that location. So we'll go back here again, and let me just explain this. If you was to download the 12 menu from here, it's going to automatically install that plasmoid. Also, we need to type in 12 menu. If you was to install this, it's going to install it as if you've just downloaded it from the internet, like I just done, and put it in here, and then unzip. Yeah, and then basically what you would be doing is then copying that folder into here. As you can see, it's exactly the same, because there's no configuration or anything that's used in the KD store. All it is one folder being basically extracted into this location. So a plasmoid is basically a fancy zip renamed, and then all they do is just extract it into a location. So there's nothing really too advanced about how this menu works. In fact, you could even fork it and make it yourself. It's not, like I said, it's a forked menu from someone else. I basically repaired it and built it to be how I want. And I build my distributions from scratch pretty much every month. I mean, there's no time frame on doing it, and it is quite daunting doing it all the time, which is why I don't do it as often as I probably should. Obviously, where I've got so many projects and I've got so many distributions to hand, it isn't helpful creating all of these different distribution names and themes and whatever else, but it's for fun anyway, and over time they'll all be the same. Just pick one. And I'm not going to default to a theme, and I will at one point look for things that will make it better. So I'm continuously doing that as well, like looking for the next best application to install. How can I debloat the system more? And one way was to remove all the flat packs, which is what I originally did on Artix. Yeah, on Artix was the first ever time that I ever started removing flat packs. So I like Steam flat pack and Xbox flat pack, and that would be 2 gig, and that would be 2 gig, and then that would be 2 gig, and then before you know it, you got a 25 GB system, and you clone it, and your ISO's like nearly 10 GB. And that ain't good for no system. But yeah, also I have explained here in what I would say is the easiest way to explain how to use this menu. So you would either download it from the KD widget store, which is basically here, this is the KD widget store. We would download it from here. I've shown that now 3 times. Or download from Pling, which is what we're on now, and I just showed and put into the downloads folder. And then obviously I showed the location of where the folder actually gets placed once it's extracted. So yeah, the KD store or Pling, and then put it into that location. And then when we come here, we're gonna want to change from the application launcher, is it, to 12 menu, and then you can right click here and configure 12 menus, so we can make it small, huge, medium and large. We can change it from the default to center bottom like I've got it. We can change the sizes of it, so I can go bigger and smaller. We can show the user, remove the user, and change the favorites to first, which is what I've done. So normally it would come like this, and you just see every application that you've installed underneath the sun. But with the favorites first, you only see the applications that you have basically favorited. And the way to do that would be to right click an application and add it to favorites. And of course, being that most of these are already added, there isn't options for some of them. But yeah, that is basically the basics to the menu. It is a forked menu of menu ditto. If we go on to my GitHub, we can see that I actually present that as well. I might even have a link on here. I do think they said, can you add it as a link on there? And I said sure, but it's going to have to be a home page because it's not actually my project, so it's not my source. This is obviously me showing that the command works, the function, a couple photos, forked from menu ditto, gave the link. Should have said on that as well, credits to the developer. I did actually give him a comment recently as well, funny enough, on one of his things that he's making. Or was it one of the other widgets that I used to use similar to this. But yeah, I've really I don't know what else to say. I just thought I'd show some of the things that I've been doing quite recently, talk about it for a few minutes, and then also explain how to install the menu, the features to the menu, what I've actually done, you know, and that's it really. Of course, as well, I'm not too sure about Plasmoid Viewer when it first ever come out, but from my understanding, Plasmoid Viewer is for Qt5, and I've always used QML Scene. Oh, so I don't know if he's typed in org or something, but that package there isn't set up in a way for it to be professional as an org package, so it might have some details to do with the old developer in it still, because it was just a quick little fork. It wasn't one of them things that was meant to be professional. I have plasmoids here, plasmoids, but this is a QML. This is a QML plasmoid, so I don't know if this is going to tell you to use QML scene. I would have had to read this documentation at one point. Grid layout. I don't know. All I know is every single time I make a widget in QML, I normally use QML scene, and QML scene is obviously QML scene is actually installed with QML. It's actually part of the QML packages, so it's provided by QML, and I'd much rather be using that than using something that KDE supply, since KDE use the Qt and QML packages as a base, you know. So they're using someone else's software and then they're making their own version of something for it. I think you're better off just going to the people that made it in the first place, because they clearly know what they're doing, because there's hundreds of thousands of developers that actually use this language. So we go to the QML website, and well, we're saying QML scenes for Qt5, but I'm pretty sure it works for QG6 as well, because I did use it. But don't take my word for it, because I'm not a professional. I'm learning just as much as the next person, even though I've been doing this pretty much nearly 3 years. I don't know why you would want to be testing the menu in the first place. Why wouldn't you just try and install it? Of course, once you've installed it, if you don't install it through... Yeah, once you install it, it's just going to work. Obviously, if you was to reinstall it from something else, you'd have to reboot. So if you was changing from one menu to another, you'd have to reboot. I'm pretty sure. Okay, QQML either. With me, I normally just install things when it comes to widgets like this, or if I'm making an application. Quite recently, I've just been pasting the code after testing it on my main machine, or I'd compile the file and then send it onto my Google Drive and then test it on the virtual machine that I'll be testing on, opposed to just uploading code and then compiling it that way. But yeah, I hope you're all having a good day and night, whatever time it is when you watch this video. Sorry if it really is a bit off topic and you're wondering why I'm making this, but it's just basically down to the fact that I had a user basically say that he's having a few issues and doesn't really understand how to configure the menu and install the menu. So I thought I'd make a video and just share it and hopefully get some feedback and help him through the process of installing the menu. But that is it for me today, or tonight, or this morning should I say. And it's bye from me, Aaron.